In today's video, we're going to play Tetris, and we have two things that we need to do. The first thing is we need to figure out how to fit a couple different pieces of plexiglass into my 18 by 24 inch sheet because it's not quite the right size where I can just cut out two pieces that'll fit exactly the front and the back. I have to do some clever uh, arranging in order to get exactly what I need out of it. And the second thing is we need to figure out how to use a single piece of wood as a mounting bracket that I can mount the screen, the camera, and the light to. So let's get to it. But before we do, let me remind you that you can download this video and all the explanations in book form from my website at shutterpilot.com/DIY-photo-booth. I'll leave that link down in the description as well. At this point, we have already measured some things out. We've built kind of a plan for how we're going to build the structure of the photo booth, and I'll leave links to that video where I talked about that in the description as well. But today, there are a few things that I couldn't kind of visualize as I was initially planning this out, that I actually needed to measure all the components, lay them all out, and do some figuring out. So I mentioned some of those challenges in previous videos, but in this video, we're actually going to, well, I'm going to show you what I figured out. Okay, so let me show you what I was talking about. So let's lay out our components on my diagram here. So put the ring light there, put the camera here, put the screen right there where it's going to go. Now, if I take my straight edge, you'll notice that if I put a piece of wood flush against the back of this, which will be about 1 3/8 of an inch off the front, which is actually perfect because that'll put it right in the center of the overall depth of the unit. You'll notice that it'll go flush along this as intended, but of course the mounting bracket for the camera sticks out, and even this, which you can see from this angle over here, this mounting bracket extends about 1/4 of an inch beyond that line. So what I plan on doing is boring out a hole about 1/4 of an inch deep, and this will be about 8 1/4 inches from the bottom of the unit for this to fit in. So that'll be perfect. That'll give it about 1/2 inch to secure it to the piece of wood, and the ring light will still be flush against the front. That'll be perfect. Now the camera, it has this tripod mount. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it has a tripod mount, and it is, let's do that, it is about 1 3/4 inches from the front of the camera. So that will mean that it'll be about, not quite exactly, but about the center of a 3/4 inch wide board that starts 1 3/8 from the front. So 1 3/8, it'll go from 1 3/8 to, what is that? 1 7/8? Did I do the math right? I don't think I did. Just over 2 inches. So 1 3/4 inches is right in the center of that range. So that's perfect. That'll work out really well. So basically what I'll do is, this is 12 inches, and it's lined up right at the bottom of the photo booth, and that'll extend up to about here where I have the camera set up, and that means that I can screw this camera basically right into the top of the board. I will have to put a hole in, close to the top of the board so I can fit a bolt in there, but it'll basically bolt in through the board and hold the camera right up flush to the top of the board there. So that actually worked out perfectly. So that game of Tetris wasn't too hard. Now the second game of Tetris is the plexi. So let's move these out of the way and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so here we have our 18 by 24 piece of plexi, and if we're talking about the back, which is just going to be a single continuous unbroken sheet of plexi, because we don't need to expose anything through the back, whereas on the front we'll need to expose the touchscreen and the camera, just so we don't have any weird lighting issues. So on the back we can show, we can use this piece, we can just make one cut at the 14-inch mark, and it has just enough overlap on the bottom that it won't look perfect, but it won't impact the structural stability of it at all, and we'll just, you know, screw it in along the outsides and it'll stay. Now for the front, we actually will have just enough plexi, because 14 inches across will leave us 10 inches from that edge to the edge of the plexi. This plexi is actually a little bit longer than 24 inches, so that gives me a little bit of wiggle room when I'm cutting. So even if the cut takes up 1/8 of an inch, I still have 10 inches left. And what we'll do is we'll put that 10 inches across the top, and 10 inches down, 14 inches wide. That'll bring us just to the top of where the touchscreen is going to go. 14 inches over there, that gives us 4 inches by 10 inches that we can work with, and basically put a 1-inch strip. This is about 9 inches here, just shy of 9 inches. Put a 1-inch strip down here, 1-inch strip down here, and that'll hold the screen in place so it won't wobble too much. So basically what we end up with on the plexi is 14 inches by 18 inches, and then a 14 by 10 piece, and then two 8.5 by 1 inch pieces. So that'll work out almost perfectly. Not exactly what I was looking for, but pretty close. That's it for this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And in the next video, we'll actually start cutting the plexiglass and the piece of wood into the pieces that I'm going to use to assemble the case. So stay tuned for that.